All are welcomed here at Reverend Christian Sorensen's weekly Joyous Series podcast here at www.joyouspodcast.com. Today's message was recorded January 10th, 2016, and it's titled 2016 Annual Q&A. This is an annual message session that Reverend Christian gives every year sometime in January. And some of the Q&A topics covered today include joyous abundance, the global vision, we are spiritual, connect with the source, the life source, rituals, holding a higher vision, new thought movement, beyond chronic disease, your friends with a different path, why become a practitioner, in the foundation of the Science of Mind class starting Tuesday, January 12th, which you can visit at www.seasidecenter.org/education to find out more. And as always, you can join us in Encinitas, California sometime, where great music, a spirited message, and a joyful, loving community await you.
Feel the joy, feel the peace, and the comfort of home, 'cause all are welcome here. Yes, all are welcome here.
Wow, what a great way to start the new year. Hey, just a quick reminder here, since I just got back, I just got around to doing it. But remember, I gave all of you my vision and intention for 2016, for your life, to fill that out and put it in an envelope and put it in our gold chest. We'll be praying over it all year, and I'll mail it back to you in December of 2016. So I've got mine. I'm putting it back there. I also put out some extra pages out there if you want to pick one up. Just a reminder, after I mentioned the first service, half the people got up and grabbed it, so you might want to wait to the end of the service. So, but it's what? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we'll have the express box delivered by February, and then we'll have the December box. Yeah, good idea there. So, oh, wow. So anyway, here we go. Beginning of the year, I like to do the question and answers. And so what I'm going to do is ask you for some questions. And so I want you to laser beam in your questions, because it's not so much about the questions as it is about the answers. So I'm not looking for a story from you. I'm looking for a telescopic brevity to your question. And we've got a couple mic runners around here. And so, any questions? Yep. Oh my goodness. I love you guys. And thank you so much for your singing and dancing and cheering and speaking out. I just love. Denise, what you got for us?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
I was visiting at the Centers for Spiritual Living in Palm Desert the last 2 weekends, which is why I wasn't here.
Dr. Joe Hooper.
Yes.
He's fabulous. Love him.
Fabulous. I was very proud and pleased to see your name and your face there as a part of, I guess, the global consciousness that 400 centers are going to partner with in delivering the message so that we can touch more of the world. So I would imagine, since you are laser beaming on a particular chapter or session, that all of Seaside will be participating in this as well?
Yes. And so I believe what you're speaking about is what's happening this year is the Centers for Spiritual Living. They're taking a look at what Ernest Holmes wrote out, is what I believe. And so it's broken up into different themes through the course of the year. And I'll be weaving it into joyous abundance, because my commitment this year for Seaside is for all of us to experience the joy of abundance with an ease and a grace. But I'll also bring in little pieces. But on Wednesday night, Reverend Debbie McDonald is definitely focusing big time on the global vision and what it is we believe. So, but next week I did write the Sunday for all the different centers around the country, so they're going to be delivering my message to the different ones. So, and I did work in that they should use this book, Joyous Abundance. So, okay, all right. Thank you. Another question, Susan, and then we'll go there. Yes, Susan.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And I love this part of the season when you get up and ask people questions. So it's great, because it does show people what we do believe and what we do practice here. My question is, some people have asked me, am I religious and do I practice rituals? And follow like the Bible?
So, good question. And are we religious? Do we follow the Bible? Do we have rituals in there? Wonderful question. I like to say we're spiritual, more so than religious, because a lot of times religiosity follows these dogmas and these rules that are cruel. Slip there. Yeah, that's it. And so we do a spirituality. So, like walking out on the beach and connecting with that spirit. I mean, that's about as deep as you can get. I mean, magic happens here on Sunday. But, there were guys at the first service today. They were getting in their service before they go out surfing. And I get it. When you're out there and just connect with that life force, that's where the magic and the power and the presence is. And when you look into the eyes of your child, it's like, oh my goodness, there is a God or a life force or something that is magical. And so what we work on is not so much the rules, the creeds, the dogmas, but more of that connection with the source, that it's not something outside of ourselves. A lot of times with religion is they put their faith in something outside of themselves, whether it is, a guru or a saint or even a God. And what we talk about with our spirituality is that there is a life force that is in all of us. That is the first cause, all initiating, first breath. And that's what we all came from. And so our philosophy is about reconnecting with that. And so what is interesting is if you drop the rules around most of the great religions, is you'll find a common thread of truth that goes through them all. And what Ernest Holmes did, and he's the founder of religious science, and he said, hey, this isn't a revelation. I didn't make it up. But there seems to be this common thread of truth that weaves itself through all the great religions. And so what science of mind is it's a compilation of all of those different pieces. And so we're spiritual more than religious. And the Bible, well, the Bible's fabulous. It's got some great stuff in it, but it's not the only book that's got great stuff in it. And so what we believe is those words of truth can show up through the poetry, through the philosophers, through other great spiritual books. And there are books being written today that bring forth that great universal spiritual truths that are just as real and relevant as if you found it on an old papyrus skin in a clay tab in a cave in the Middle East. The words of truth always have been and always will be. And what we want to do is discover and make use of those in our individual lives. And so with that, we can get ritualistic around it. It's not necessary. But there's a beauty around ritual. If you were here on New Year's Eve, you would have done an amazing ritual with 150 others with Dr. Christina Tillotson as they were burning the last year's junk so they could be clean for 2016. You show up here on an Easter and we go overboard. And, the weddings and the baptisms. And the thing about ritual is it entices the soul and the emotions and the spirit, and it's beautiful. And so the more ritual one can bring into the practice, very empowering it can be. But official rituals, there's not necessarily a lot of those, but yet the ritual is a beautiful thing. Go to the goddess, to our Seaside sisters. They're always doing rituals. Every time they get together, they're getting spiritual with their ritualistic practices. But I don't really know what they do because I'm not allowed to find out. But it's all ritual and ceremony as they deepen their sisterhood. So. Yes, Nancy. Hey, Rich, you're up and moving well. Testimony, health, healing.
Estoy bien, magnífico.
Hey. Congratulations on your new beach house down there in Mexico. You and Sharon. Yes, yeah. So, hey, Nancy.
I'm wondering what I and maybe others can do about ISIL. How can I...
ISIL or ISIS or...
Yeah,
whatever we want to call it.
I think you know what I mean.
Okay.
Is there something locally we can do? I'm concerned because my in-laws are Muslims, and it bothers me, the hatred I sometimes hear, the rhetoric. So I would like your words on this, please. Give me some wisdom.
Give you some wisdom. Well, the thing I do is I pray and I love and I hold a higher vision. What happens is our world seems to operate from a place of fear. And so the fear is continuously put before us in terms of the media, in terms of inciting the crowds and different perspectives. And so what I believe is important is to love all people and to recognize that some of the I don't know if propaganda is the right word, is what we're being shown is the fanatical aspect. And there is as much fanatical expression, whether it's in Christianity or the Islam or just about any culture, they have the radical expression and it's exploited. And so what is important for me to work with my son Trevor, whose 16th birthday is today. So I just... I remember myself at 16 and look at him and go, no. But, so I care a lot about the future, and what's important to me is to make sure that he is just immersed in the diversity of cultures and recognizes the beauty and the heart and the soul and the love. And what Jacques Cousteau used to talk about was the importance of the student exchange. So the young people of our planet are experience the diversity of cultures around the globe. There's a very strong energy that I won't say cannot be neutralized, but when somebody has their son or their daughter killed or their dad or mom killed, there is such a deep ingrained biological emotional experience that it may take some time for that memory to lose some of its sting. And so what's important for me is to be able to speak into the space of one who is able to point out the love and the light and the blessings that are there. So in that transitional time from those that had the experience. And so my responsibility is to continue to speak that as we get put in our face projections that are not of the healthiest, and recognize that in this expression of time from here to there for a planet that does work for everyone, which is really the high vision for Centers for Spiritual Living, that becomes our responsibility to hold the chalice or to hold the future possibility as others are operating from the fear. Because as long as you're operating from the fear of what was, what gets projected into your future is more of the same. What I want to do is to let us know that those are our brothers and sisters on the other side of the world who don't want to lose their sons and daughters, who don't want to lose their parents, and they are caught up in an experience that is no longer an acceptable practice. And so as we begin to speak for the possibilities of peace, as we begin to talk about the possibilities of forgiveness, and recognize that sometimes when there is a cancerous expression within the physical body, the biologists will tell you need to go in there and cut it out. Sometimes upon our planet, some things need to be taken care of, and there are different individuals in this world who have signed up to participate in different types of life expression. So I would never want to make a military wrong for those who believe with total conviction and belief that their job is to fulfill that for which they have said yes. So I love all people, which includes the military, as well as the so-called victims, as well as our political leaders that need our love and support at this time to say, you know what, there's a greater possibility here. So what is profound and bold and called for from each and every one of us who are part of a new thought movement is to bring forth a new thought and a greater possibility, even when things don't look like we're heading in that direction. What we're doing is we're birthing ourselves to a new planetary family, and we have never seen the birth of a unified planet, and birth is messy, and this is what it's looking like at this time. And I will refuse to allow myself to say this is I don't want to wrong and bad, but you know what? My job is to be the midwife to the new birth, the new thought, and a future of a world that works for everybody. And so not allow myself to get pulled into the pain, even when it is my relatives that are being put in tough situations. So that's it. Let's go back here to Merritt, and then we'll come up here.
Hi. Talk to me about science of mind and the role of chronic unwellness. So we teach that you create your own experience according to what you believe, right? Right. And I see often folks sort of getting stuck in that if they are chronically unwell.
What was that last part?
If they're chronically unwell.
Chronically unwell. Okay. All right, so the chronicle stuff, chronically unwell is the question here, right? How do you bring this sense of consciousness to that which is chronically unwell? I believe that we've got a physical body, and this physical body has got the chemical makeup, and there's things that go on there that can produce the illness, dis-ease, out of balance, and those are the kinds of conditions that are of the human experience. And we've got one of these vehicles, and it has the human experience, and it comes programmed, but we're not bound by our programming. And one of the beauties of the science of mind is that we believe that we are a consciousness that utilizes this body and this vehicle. And though we come into this world with the propensity of the activation of certain genes and heredity, it is not what we are bound to. And so someone who is experiencing that, and that is absolutely what it is they know, and they're saying, here is the evidence, that is their truth, and that is their experience. And what I do is I bring love there and say that there is another possibility here. And in this experience are your soul lessons, your soul code, your spiritual processing, and all the value that can come from that kind of experience. And what the science is showing us now is that we are not bound to that. The epigenetics of Bruce Lipton is showing us how science says we can change the DNA, that there has a lot of different levels in which it can be activated, and that it is a consciousness that can respond to it. Right now, big at Seaside is the Joe Dispenza work. And Carolyn, thank you. I got to see those 4 DVDs. There was a lot. But he talks a lot about shifting the molecular structure in the DNA. And so what I do is I hold this as a possibility. When I'm asked to pray, what I want to know is a person's wholeness. And as I was saying earlier, we don't have our past dictate what our future is going to look like, but it is bringing that new thought, which we're part of, is this new thought movement, a new thought. And I believe it is a sense of wholeness. I don't have to necessarily say this is what I have to look like, but what I need to know is that I can move through this world with an ease and a grace, and what needs to be activated at my cellular level to create, as Dispenza was saying, a new firing and wiring going on in the synapses in the brain that will activate the physiological expression of my body, that will create the wholeness and move me beyond a chronicle experience. And we have seen and we have witnessed a healing of MS, and we have seen lifelong critical situations that people say people could not come out of, and they do. It is documented, and the science is now showing how it is possible, and that is the option that I will step into when I'm asked to pray for a person to step free of what has been their chronicle experience, whether it's been for 10 years or 50 years. There is nothing that says you must be bound by it, but I'm going to step forth from it without resentment, but with a deeper sense of knowing that, you know what, it has served me to get to this point, and this point is where I am today. And what is going on in my brain doesn't know time. It doesn't know I have been locked in this situation for a decade or for several decades. It is just all active in the now moment. And from this now moment forward, I am going to hold a new picture of my body as responding in perfect alignment with the expression of God, because there is a responsiveness that will take place in the physical form. So that is some of my thoughts on that. Okay, Samantha. Oh, you probably don't, but let's take it so we can have it for the recording.
You look very mountain man-ish.
I'm feeling mountain man-ish. Yeah.
I like it. I like it. Montana came back.
That's good. Hey, one year somebody offered to pay to get all this cut off.
No. Keep it. Roll with it. So I've been having an interesting experience lately with a lot of people who I deeply love that are in my sort of immediate social circle, and they're just desire to hold on to the fact that a deeper connection, a deeper spiritual expression, that like infinite love is truly available to them. And I find myself going, that's interesting that this is expressing all around me when I feel the way that I feel about my my beliefs, my spirituality, my experience. And I'm just curious if you have any thoughts as to how you can guide people without pushing them or putting expectation out there.
So I'm clarifying the question is that you're walking this path, and there's others who don't seem to match that path with you, and infinite love from you to them or from them to you. Which way are we going with that? Okay, gotcha. I know where I'm going now. Okay, so yes, it does make sense. And so when one does their spiritual work, they step into a new frequency, a new vibration. And if you're moving to the mountaintop, if you're moving to a higher perspective, the vibration is a finer one, as opposed to those that are operating on a lower mean or a lower density. It is heavier, and so electromagnetically, it can be measured that you're just a finer vibration. And sometimes things don't stick any longer. Like a Teflon pan, or at least when they used to have Teflon. Hopefully we don't do Teflon anymore because it's not healthy. But it slides right away because it doesn't stick. Well, that is what sometimes happens in our life, and in that extrapolation, it's like it's painful because you love this person, you've shared time with this, and I often will watch individuals as they progress on their spiritual path. The people they used to play with and their energies no longer match, and it's not quite as fun because they want to gossip rather than talk about these spiritual concepts. They want to talk about how tough life is, and you're starting to talk about the future in a world that works for everybody. But what about these headlines? Well, that's not my conversation. This is where I'm going, and you can hold on to that. But you know what? This is what is possible in the world in which I live. You can live in this world of possibilities, or you can live where you're at. And what happens a lot of times, sometimes, is that as you cast that new vibration of being, others will say, I like that restaurant. I want to go there with you. Or I like that spiritual food you're partaking of. I want some of that. And they will go with you on this ride to this new place. Others will say, that tastes horrible. I don't want that. I prefer staying where I'm at, complaining and saying I'm stuck by heredity or my chronic illness or the headlines of the wars, the fears of ISIS, or all these things. And they will continue to remain in that conversation, finding individuals who want to party at that level. But you say the party I'm going to is in this new year with this new possibilities and this new light and this new love. So there you go. One more. Let's go back there. There we go. How's it going?
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Bella,
Hey, Bella.
and I am a licensed practitioner, just moved to the area, and my question is, why would someone want to be a licensed practitioner at Seaside?
All right. Well, so if you're saying, why would somebody want to be a practitioner, I'd put it back to you because that's one of your licensing questions. But it's at Seaside. Well, take a look at this wonderful family that's all around you. And it is about being in service to a wonderful community. And if you've got time, there's a practitioner meeting today at 1 o'clock. Come and hang out with the 50 spiritual practitioners here. And Seaside is a firm believer in service. And the practitioners are the first to stand up in their sense of service. They offer themselves for prayer. You heard them praying during our service, between services. Seaside believes it's spirit first in all things. And the spiritual consciousness of practitioners is, that's a weird word, undergirding. But it's the foundations. It is the arm. And so the practitioners here are part of the ecclesiastical team of this community. The practitioners here are consistently offering the classes and the sacred circles. And once a month, they all stand up here and offer themselves for prayer at the end of the service. And so it is about a spiritual family that is held together by a group of a spiritual consciousness of individuals that are committed daily to remember the highest and best for this spiritual family. And so the reason this spiritual family continues to grow and it continues to thrive is because of the spiritual work that is done by our spiritual practitioners who take prayer requests out of the prayer chest that get sent to us every week, and we pray on them every day. And so what is required of our spiritual practitioners is they're honoring their commitment to do their spiritual work daily, because what takes place in the consciousness begins to lift the whole community, like the water in the harbor lifts all boats. Well, it is the 50 spiritual practitioners that do their spiritual work that inspire and give us that undergirding to help lift this whole community. It is a community that is based on prayer, it is based on love, it is based on family, and we are in this together, and I meet with the practitioners consistently so we continue to work on that vision. And so a lot of times the work of the practitioners is not seen in the larger community, but I will assure you it is continuously going on every day of the week for all of us. And so it is definitely a commitment of time, of heart, of soul, of spirit. And Bella, I hope you talk to me about hanging your license here. Bless you for checking us out. Okay, I can't take any more of the questions, but come to the foundation class Tuesday nights. I'm teaching that, and we go over the 10 basic concepts of what our philosophy is. And so Tuesday nights starting this week. But what I want to do right now.
Such a long way home from where you have been. And what will it take to bring you back again? And all your searching's brought you to this place. You cry for mercy and you long for grace. Feel the love, feel the light. Won't you come in from the cold? 'Cause all are welcome here. Feel the joy, feel the peace, and the comfort of home. 'Cause all are welcome here. Yes, all are welcome here. Can you hear the sound, the whisper in your soul that calls you back to where you belong? And all your searching's brought you to this place. You cry for mercy and you long for grace. Feel the love, feel the light. Won't you come in from the cold? 'Cause all are welcome here. Feel the joy, feel the peace, and the comfort of home. 'Cause all are welcome here. Yes, all are welcome here. Behold the love. Behold the light in your mind, in your heart, in your soul. In your mind, in your heart, in your soul. In your mind, in your heart, in your soul. And all your searching's brought you to this place. You cry for mercy and you long for grace. Feel the love, feel the light. Won't you come in from the cold? 'Cause all are welcome here. Feel the joy, feel the peace, and the comfort of home. 'Cause all are welcome here. Yes, all are welcome here. Here.
All Are Welcome Here, from the album Path of Light, was co-written by Peggy Lebo and Reverend Christian Sorensen. It's available at www.peggylebo.com.